Chloe Bibby feels embarrassed while Caitlin Clark commands Fever as acting coach. Funny how fate works, right? Back in college, Caitlin Clark couldn't get past Chloe Bibby and Maryland. 4 tries, for losses. What she never imagined then was that Bibby would one day sub in for her on a WNBA roster. And even more unexpected? That both would eventually be sidelined, sharing the Fever bench as partners in recovery. Clark suffered an injury during the July 15th game against the Connecticut Sun. This wasn't her first soft tissue setback of the season, as she had already missed time due to quad and groin issues. After weeks of uncertainty, the Fever star recently announced that she will not be returning this season. Meanwhile, Chloe Bibby, who joined the Fever in late July on a 7-day contract, quickly made an impact on Indiana's injury-depleted roster. In 9 games with the team, she averaged 3.9 points in 9.8 minutes per game, shooting 39.1% from beyond the arc. The Fever later signed the Australian forward to a rest-of-season contract, hoping to bolster the squad. Unfortunately, earlier this month, it was announced that Bibby is also out for the season with a left knee injury, making her the 5th Fever player to end their season prematurely. But whether or not they're on the floor, Clark and Bibby have been showing up for their team. While their presence on the sidelines is all about support, the cameras can't seem to resist capturing their every move. During ESPN's broadcast of Minnesota versus Indiana, the two got a close-up that had fans laughing and, well, simping. In a viral clip, both wore the exact same expression, and what followed almost looked like Bibby was unintentionally shadowing Clark's every move. CC tucked her hair back, leaned into her seat with her index finger pressed against her lip in that classic, thinking pose. A beat later, Bibby, without realizing, mirrored the exact same gesture. The clip went viral almost instantly, with one fan writing, "Caitlin and Chloe's face cards are fire." Bibby saw it and couldn't help but laugh at herself, reposting with, "No, because this is embarrassing face with tears of joy. Why did I do the exact same thing?" Well, if only she could hear us. It wasn't embarrassing at all. And those face cards in question? They sure more than did their job. And speaking of jobs, Caitlin Clark hasn't just taken over as the Fever's lead cheerleader, she might as well be the acting coach too. Weeks into being sidelined, we've already seen her drawing up plays and directing teammates. Against the Lynx, she was at it again. The Fever stormed out to a 10-0 start, capped by an Odyssey Sims jumper. That's when Clark leapt off the bench, emphatically signaling for a timeout, only this wasn't for Indiana. She was clearly motioning at Cheryl Reeve to call one for Minnesota. And Reeve listened. ESPN's X account even posted the clip with the caption, "Caitlin Clark calling a timeout for the Lynx grinning face with sweat," which has already racked up 330K plus views. In another moment, Clark was seen passionately explaining something to her teammates. No mic picked it up, but it sure looked like she was breaking down adjustments. The most interesting part has to be she was coaching against none other than Reeve, a coach she has a history with. But whatever Clark was preaching, it worked. Indiana toppled the league-best Lynx to close out their regular season. The Fever came out blazing, doubling up Minnesota 28-14 in the first quarter as Aerial Powers torched her former team for 8 quick points. Minnesota went ice cold from deep, 0 of 9 in the opening quarter, and even though they clawed back late, Indiana held firm to seal an 83-72 win. But these weren't the only roles she took on. Clark even stepped in as a host, too. Caitlin Clark and Brianna Scurry share a special moment. It was clear that there wasn't a ton at stake for either squad. Indiana had already clinched their spot in the WNBA playoffs, while there was a small chance they could surpass the Golden State Valkyries for the number 6 seed. The Fever were most likely heading into the postseason as the number 7 seed. Meanwhile, Minnesota had nothing to fight for as they had already locked up the league's top seed. But it was moments on and off the court that made this night truly memorable. Before the game, Gainbridge Fieldhouse welcomed a special guest, USWNT legend Brianna Scurry. If you didn't know, Scurry is not only a 2-time Olympic gold medalist and 1999 World Cup champion, she's also a trailblazer for women's sports and a brand ambassador for Gainbridge, the naming rights sponsor of the Indianapolis Arena. Scurry partners with Gainbridge to provide opportunities for women and youth soccer players, making her presence at the game more than just ceremonial. The highlight came during a pre-game meet and greet, where Scurry swapped jerseys with Caitlin Clark. Standing in front of the legendary goalkeeper who helped Team USA secure the 1999 World Cup gold medal, Clark was visibly thrilled. Scurry also made her feelings known, expressing, "Oh my God, Caitlin, pleasure to meet you. You're an amazing player. It's an honor to meet you, and I'm hoping you get well soon. I can't wait to see you back out there again. You're fantastic." The Fever's social media account captured the moment beautifully, also sharing that Clark received Scurry's game-worn 2007 World Cup goalie gloves and writing, "Welcome to at Gainbridge Fieldhouse, Brianna. Soccer ball house." It was a wholesome moment. A reminder of the bridges built between generations of women athletes, honoring one another's impact on the game and inspiring fellow women. Here's hoping we get to see more of these moments. The Indiana Fever locker room was unusually quiet. No music pulsing from a speaker, no shoes squeaking against the floor as players practiced pre-game rituals. Just a heavy, awkward silence. Chloe Bibby sat on the bench, tugging at the hem of her shooting shirt, trying not to make eye contact with anyone. She could feel the sting of embarrassment rising in her cheeks. What made it worse wasn't the game they had just lost. It was the fact that Caitlin Clark, still in sweats because of a nagging injury, had essentially coached them from the sideline. Caitlin hadn't meant to take over. At least, that's what she kept telling herself. The Fever's head coach had been ejected late in the second quarter after a heated argument with the referees, and the assistants were scrambling, yelling across the court, fumbling through substitution patterns. The game was slipping away. That's when Caitlin, unable to watch the chaos unfold, stepped up. She started calling out defensive switches. She pointed to Chloe to space the floor properly. She shouted encouragements, drew quick plays during timeouts on a stray whiteboard, and somehow, the Fever looked organized again. Fans cheered louder at Caitlin's instructions than at the actual plays. Cameras caught her barking out adjustments with the confidence of a seasoned coach. For everyone else, it was electric. For Chloe Bibby, it was mortifying. Chloe had fought her way onto this roster. She wasn't Caitlin Clark, the phenom with college records and endorsement deals. She wasn't even one of the starters with household recognition. She was a grinder, someone who lived off hustle, defense, and the occasional corner three. Nights like this mattered to her more than anyone knew. But under the glare of the arena lights, she felt exposed.